This collection was inspired by fall 2014 trends seen on the runway and also seen in other places. Inspiration came from all over the place. For example, some of it from tear sheets from magazines from Europe, from here. And the main trends that I saw coming through were that there was this whole overshape thing going on with the clothes. There was a mixed medium of prints and sheers and everything living together like in one look. And then there was also this 60s vibe going on. So those three influences are what I ran with to create this collection. We've taken a horseshoe section with our deep side part. We started with the center part down the back, and what I'm going to be doing is taking horizontal sections. I'm going to split that in half, and I'm going to comb all the hair up and keeping my fingers horizontal. I'm going to go into this section with the tip of the blade just to release a lot of that weight, and then I'm going to go in horizontally with the blade and take away the length. Now what I'm going to do is put in the perimeter. So we created first this length here. Now we're going to go in and just work with a little bit of surface cutting to create that perimeter. So now we're working up into our next horizontal section. We're going to take that first section up with us to the new section, and then we're going to slide past that point. I can see my guide through the section right here. Just taking the tip of the razor again and just lightening that up and then working out to the guide. Tip of the razor, anywhere where it's really dense, and then changing the angle of the blade to horizontal out to our length. As I'm working up the head, I'm dropping my elevation a little bit so that we don't continue to round around the head. We want to build volume and weight in this area. So by dropping our elevation as we go, it's going to get longer and fill in that space. So bringing this up, dropping that elevation down to here, it's going to start getting longer lengths as we go up. So we're on our last section in the back, just below the horseshoe. Here on this mannequin head, she has a lot of density. On a lot of people, you're not going to have that much density. But what I'm doing is taking the tip of the razor and just going into the section. So we create texture, we lighten it up, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect it in with our length. Going into the texture and then connecting to the length. Now we're going to go into the sides and we're going to switch to vertical partings. We want these to lay light and flat to the head, so vertical is going to help us to do that a lot more. And we're going to use our length from the back as a guide, bringing this out from the head vertically. There's our length. And what we're going to do is just comb this new hair to the guide. We're going into the section with the tip of the blade just like before. The only difference is now we're on the vertical line this way as opposed to the diagonal line where we were in the back. So we're going to continue with our vertical sections all the way to the front with a traveling guide. So we're going to go into the perimeter now, and we've done a little bit of our perimeter in the nape area, but if you look at what's happening here, we have almost a little bit of a bi-level situation. So we want to bring this up and this up so that we end up with a nice curved line. So here we go. This area right here behind the ear is a place that we want to be careful that we don't take too much weight away, too much length away. So we're mainly focusing on the hair that's behind it and in front of it to match it up. Now we're going to do the top. We're going to be working with horizontal sections across the top of the head, and we're going to do a few things as we go. One is that we're going to break up the density, because there's a lot of density in there, and we're going to do that with the tip of the razor, very similar to what we've been doing. This is like an attitude adjustment for the hair. Instead of it being like a big mass of hair that just goes boom, it's going to go ha. So once we get the texture out, what we're going to do is work from her nose over towards the other side. Now we're going to go through the top and bring everything back with horizontal sections to this point here. The length that we're going to choose is one that sits at about the length here of this hair so that it rounds out and fills in nicely. So I'm going to go in with the tip of the blade first. Surprise, surprise. Break this up. And then we're going to go in, keeping that length in mind, and we're going to take the length away. Now we're going back to the edge of our horseshoe, which is our deep side part, leaving that alone. And we're just going to look at the other side now and see what needs to blend in. This is something you could do dry, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. And what's going to give it that 60s kind of vibe is that it does get a little longer in the front. By using this length guide in the back here, we've created our volume in the crown. So I'm just going to continue on forward. So here's the finished blow dry. What we need to do now is take out weight, give it an attitude adjustment, because there's so much hair on this particular head of hair that it needs to be made smaller. So I'm going in and I'm just going to pick up random pieces underneath. So we're picking up a piece underneath the surface and then going in and taking out weight, so that we just start to get this area laying flatter and closer to the head and having a little more texture on the ends. Right in here, there's a lot of weight. So what I'm going to do is go through and, you know, there's many different ways we could do this. I'm doing it this way because it's a way that's comfortable for me, but we could go in like we were when it was wet with the tip of the razor. This is a great technique to use when the hair is dry so that you don't rough up that cuticle too much using a razor on dry hair. And you can see exactly what you're getting as you go. So here's the finished look. It's short, but it's still feminine. It's got the heavier front, fuller crown, and more of a geometric feeling, which gives it that whole 60s flavor. And that's it.